then we'll
No,
continue.
we can't. We ain't gonna be talking about shooting squirrels live.
Oh, well,
They'll
it don't,
they'll ban us forever because we're
well, they got it to do then. No, I was going to say back then you were saying about crossman's is true. Oh,
we're
my cousin had a crossman of some kind. I think it was a 22 caliber. I think I can't remember. It could have been a 17. It's been so long ago. I don't even know if I realized they made different kinds. But
morning, ladies.
oh, morning, ladies. Hi, Carol. Hi, Brenda. But I know, I had a, he
Just
flung.
stop. Just stop for a minute.
Okay.
You look like you've just been incarcerated. I'm I'm sorry, but you look like you got an orange jumpsuit on.
Well, if I moved the curtain, you'd see the bars in the front. They let me do the show this morning. Hey,
which
Doug, good morning.
remind which reminds me of my buddy Clint. He got in trouble with the federal government over a wild horse deal one time, and they sent him to the him and four other cowboys because they had a stud horse kept jumping in with their mares at their where they were cow working. They had a bunch of horses in a corral because they were working cattle over a great big piece of country, and the wild horses would come in. And this old stud, kind of like that little stud in down there at Hermit's Peak that we saw once upon a long time ago. He'd just jump in the corral with those mares and breed them.
Because he was like that. Because that's what he
Well, because that's what stud horses do, and
right.
and they're like, well, we're cowboys, we're handy, well, and they threw him and cut him.
Oh, that slowed down his.
Well, but he bled to death.
Oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, so that wasn't good, and they got to go visit Uncle Sam, and they I got photos of him in his orange jumpsuit with, and he's chained ankles and
Oh,
wrists.
oh my, they really did it.
Doing the official perp walk, and
Oh no,
then they figured out they were just
cowboys.
good old cowboys that were just doing what cowboys do, and
They
they
let
weren't
them.
they weren't trying to be mean to that horse, but they figured
Right.
they could cut him because they'd done it a million times. It didn't work out in this case.
I bet it didn't.
Well, and there was a sixth one involved with the whole deal, and he called him in,
Oh, really?
and it was probably his idea to begin with. It turns out, and so anyway,
But he still called them in. That's
yeah, he was looking at his whole cards,
yeah.
like somebody's gonna figure this out. Somebody had to have seen it. Somebody did, and not, nobody saw it. It was in the middle of flipping nowhere, but
So they didn't really get caught as much as they got turned
they
in.
got turned in. They got turned in by one of their own conspirators.
Uh, that's kind of sad.
I thought it was. Never trusted him since.
Oh no, I don't blame you there. I don't think I would either. So anyway, what I was going to say before you got to talk about cutting young studs,
And wearing orange jumpsuits.
wearing orange jumpsuits. I didn't even think about that. When you, I would go change in a minute. I have to go in there and put on my black and white striped shirt so I don't look so conspicuous.
I got us covered on that front. So
Okay. Oh, my cousin had a crossman, and I just man, I wanted one like that so bad. And it shot. I'd had a BB gun, for years, but it just didn't do the things that pellet rifle would do. And man, that thing would take a can. That's back when Coke cans and stuff were thick, they weren't
Yeah.
like paper, and it'd just rip one apart. And I thought, man, this is cool. I need me one of these.
Well, mine was just a 17. I don't know if you remember it or not, but it was old enough. It had a brass bolt. It did the new ones they're all plastic,
Yeah, I know, they're not. Yeah.
And it had a wooden stock. The pump was wood. The butt stock was wooden, and it had a little brass bolt.
Mm.
And there were a lot of creatures that succumbed to my
prowess,
bloodthirstiness. But gray squirrels were rarely on that list.
Well, you had something else for gray squirrels.
Dad bought these Benjamin rifles, and
they've always been supposed
they're
to be.
hell for stout. But they're just 17s too. But he gave me a great big tin of pellets that come with it, and they're hollow points. I never seen anything like
it. Are they pointy?
No, they got a cup in the end of them, just like a hollow point.
Yeah.
And if you can hit anything with them, they're pretty deadly. But I'm not shooting squirrels. I'm shooting Eurasian collared doves. But
yeah.
But it's a whole lot more fun to use the iron sights on the old H&R, and I only get one shot, and then they're gone.
Oh, you need. Well, yeah, but
we've got so
Diana, good morning.
We have so many of them now. We used to have 3 or 4, and now we've got maybe a dozen pairs out there.
Collared doves, you mean?
Yeah, and I'm just not going to stand for it.
Well,
and they eat good too. So
yeah, oh, that's true. And there ain't no season, so you can eat them whenever you choose.
Yeah,
right?
And my son's cousin and his uncle, they live back in Wheatland, and they got them terrible back there. And I
bet that's great country.
They had a big elk hunt here a few weeks ago, and the boys went out and shot 25 or 30 collared doves, and they made jalapeno popper and cheese poppers with them. Grilled them and they're bigger than a mourning dove. So
what happens if you shoot a mourning dove while you're at that?
Well, we don't have mourning doves anymore. They packed their suitcases on September 1st and leave the state of Wyoming.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the collared doves had run them out already.
No. We have gazillions of mourning doves, but
just not this time of year.
The weather it seems like every year we get some kind of cold front on August 31st or 30th. Yeah. And they packed their suitcases and they all head south to Colorado or wherever, and we don't even get a season on them hardly. So,
I can remember when it was. I swear I can remember Labor Day weekend used to be the start of squirrel season too, and I swear to you, I can remember going out squirrel hunting when it was real cool, not cold, but really cool. Heavy dew type thing, maybe even a little frost from time to time. And I swear I remember getting up and going out when it was cold like that to go on that first squirrel hunt of the year. We didn't dove hunt back then. Our dad didn't. And so we'd go squirrel hunting always when first weekend it opened, which used to be Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And
And that little frost cut the warbles down.
yeah, well, that's what everybody said anyway. That was
Yeah.
the theory or the
Even though
hypothesis.
it didn't, but
No, and they never and I'll be honest, they never would eat one if it had a warble in it. They thought that was. I don't know if they just thought that was nasty or if they thought that was
well, they
somehow.
are nasty, but
Well, they are nasty up
they're
close.
just in a pocket in the skin. They're not
Yeah, I
in.
know, but they are nasty. You're right.
They're. I've been watching Dr. Pole's his people been pulling a bunch of them out of cats.
Oh man.
But they're little.
Oh
I mean,
really?
I remember like chipmunks with
Oh
a warble that was as big as the end of your thumb.
yeah. I mean, it seemed like they'd make a huge wound in the side
Yeah,
of it.
and just I mean, half inch in diameter or more, and an inch long. And these ones that they keep finding on the show, at least, are little bitty things. I'm like, that's not a good warble.
Maybe they got a different fly
Yeah,
species.
they say they're botfly larvae. So
Huh?
anyway,
Maybe they
and
are.
maybe there's a million species of botfly. I don't know that either.
Oh, probably. We're probably lucky we don't have them all over us.
We'll just have to.
Well, and I guess we could.
We'll have to do a whole show on warbles sometime. But
Oh, that'd be good. Everybody'd leave. Couple of pictures and they'd all be gone.
and yeah, like I'm out.
Oh my goodness. I've seen squirrels with more than one in them too.
I was eating cream dried beef over toast last night, watching them cut warbles out of a cat.
I'm
Yeah,
jealous.
I think it was mentioned that I wasn't right in the head or something.
Early on, we took care of it. Reminds me of working. I worked in a slaughterhouse one summer, building, remodeling a whole big bunch of this. We basically built a bigger slaughterhouse over a smaller one and expanded it. And I'll never forget that there was 3 or 4 guys that had worked there forever, and they worked on the kill floor, which is exactly what it sounds like.
And they ate their bologna sandwich while they was killing cattle.
Lunch whistle blow, and they just sit right down beside them with a big old Holstein cow streaming out blood, just smoking from being so warm. And they'd sit right there and eat their bologna sandwich or their hamburger or whatever they had. And it didn't bother them not one bit. Mm-hmm. We'd usually walk around the corner if we were going to eat, but them guys didn't care. They'd been there a long time. I know this isn't what anybody come to hear about, but isn't it fun? Probably never knew about.
That's a big old dead squirrel right there.
It was some dead.
Oh my
mercy.
But yeah, so we're supposed to get
the big snow, huh?
A blue norther this afternoon. And
Carol, are you guys supposed to, or Diana, are you guys waiting on bad weather or snowy weather?
They've shipped it all to us.
Yeah, I think they have. They got some last year, but I don't think anybody held a candle to you guys.
I sent my buddy that he lives in eastern Wyoming. And I'm like, what's it like this morning over there? And he's like, oh, it's like 46 degrees. And we were one. That's a positive thing though.
That's a whole
degree above zero.
That's right. And but in Diana, in your language, that's a whole bunch of minuses. That could sound really cold. That's sub-zero Celsius. I mean,
oh yeah, because
you're that math in my
zero at 32, right?
Yeah. But
And then
we're
you
cutting
gotta do
grass
then
soon.
you gotta do like 5/9 or 9/5 or some kind of
Something like that, or yeah, something. And then I can do it quicker on my phone.
Diana's cutting grass soon.
Yeah. Carol says their snow all melted Thursday and it's been raining. Somebody else was supposed to get up New York and area. I don't know if Tina's in here. They were supposed to get a whole bunch of snow, and then they were supposed to get a whole bunch of rain. I thought, well, that's going to be a nice mess.
I heard it was gonna like lake effect or something up in that country.
Yeah, they were supposed to get lake effect, and some areas were getting lake effect. I don't know. You guys don't get that, Carol. Is that right? You're on the wrong side of the lake. Well, I mean, you're up in that corner, so you're not getting much off Huron. Then yours is probably going north of them from Huron, and then the Aries would be going east or northeast. I mean, out of Huron, off Huron. But yeah, some of those areas got heavy lake effect snow, and then they were supposed to get a bunch of rain. So usually, if you add those two things up, that equals a flood somewhere up there,
And a big old gross mess.
and a big old gross mess. Because there's nothing worse. There's nothing more beautiful once in a while of a fresh snow on everything. And then there ain't nothing much uglier than when it starts to all melt and get nasty. Turns black, on the road.
Like a late June snow melt.
Yeah. He said,
Which other
like,
people don't think about.
like June snowman. I just picked up on that. Yeah, there ain't nothing like that. I mean, goodness. Carol said lake effect snows happen on the western side of the state by Lake Michigan. Yeah, I saw that, and that's where I saw them, as some people say, the upper part of the mitten. Oh, which would be right in here.
Yeah, so it hits the east slopes or the eastern shores of all those big lakes.
Yeah, right in this area, and
So Carol would be on the west shore of.
well, she's kind of right here between them.
That's what I'm saying. She's on the western shore of Huron or whatever it is.
Yeah, Erie. Well, she misses. Yeah, that was with Huron. Actually, Huron's a lot further north of her than I thought.
Erie, northwest corner Erie.
Northwest of Erie and south of Huron. So Buffalo gets covered up. Syracuse usually gets a lot of it. Western Michigan gets hammered. I think the Upper Peninsula does sometimes. But
yeah, they just have a lot of snow all the time, I think, up there.
Yeah, like you guys. Hey, Mike Gerball, you've been out to get donuts. Where you been? I hope you brought me something for breakfast. I was kind of wanting.
He's been trailer shopping. I know how this works.
He's been what?
You get up early on a Saturday morning and you go trailer shopping.
Oh yeah, Mike. Hey, Mike, I saw a trailer just for you the other day.
You get the keel bear, but that's the wrong keel.
Well, that's how he says it though. It will kill. I don't know how he spells it. I don't know how you spell it.
Keal.
Keal. Okay.
Keep everyone alive. Something like Keal.
Oh, really?
And the first several seasons, he said, "This blade will kill." It wasn't no keel. It was kill.
Well, Mike says wait a minute, he's still upset over the Jets. The last two games against Nashville and the Oilers. Well, it's okay, Mike. Somebody got revenge. The Wild, Minnesota got revenge for you on Nashville a couple of nights ago. They beat the crap out of them 6-1 or something. So they got a little revenge for the Jets. I'm hoping they pick it back up and keep going. I think the Jets game was 5th in a row or 6th in a row, something like that. Hockey, we're talking here. Sorry about that, Mike. Though you probably need a couple extra donuts. I found a camper for you.
Well, you were talking about Nashville and the Jets and the Oilers, and I'm
Yeah.
like, well, the Oilers don't even exist anymore.
In hockey, they do. They're called the Edmonton Oilers. They're Canada. And while that may not seem normal, that's apparently, I guess they drill up there. Probably like Wyoming.
No, they drill the heck out of that country up there.
And then the Jets are from Winnipeg. Mike, why is that? Did they build? Where did that come from? Because they also their football team's the Blue Bombers. Now I don't know if that has anything. When I grew up, a Blue Bomber was this deep water fishing lure that we used to have in the tackle box, but never used because it was it ran too deep. It's called the Blue Bomber.
Blue Bomber.
They drill lots up there, lots of. Well, I thought so, Mike. That's what I was thinking. They probably a lot of gas too, natural gas. I mean,
Well, and they were coming into Corb Lund's country in Alberta, and like, hey, we're going to take all this cool mountain country and turn it into a big old mine or gas patch or something. And I think they beat them back.
That'd be good. I just saw something.
Maybe they were looking for uranium or something. They were going to destroy that country.
Yeah.
And like, hey, sorry, Mr. Rancher that's lived here for like 7 generations. You don't own your mineral rights, and we're fixing to come in there.
That's probably true too. I bet they don't.
That's what happens here.
Yeah, that's what happens in a lot of places. Carol says she sees that Wyoming is classified wolverines as protected animals under its own game laws. Imagine my relief. At least through today, right, Carol? I don't know who are they playing today, or are they? Do they have a championship game?
I never did hear who won between them and Ohio State.
They did. I think it was a close game, though, as I recall. Maybe.
I bet my maiden aunts were just thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure they were tore up. Because isn't that right, Carol? Mike says somebody does a lot of that over here, Markland Minerals, with ranchers. The government owns all that. Well, down here, it's more, I don't know which would be worse, Mike, because
down here, a lot of times it's private companies that own it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Back here it is too. Like there's a whole bunch of land north of us and a lot of it's now TWRA owns the surface, but TVA owns the mineral rights because they bought all the coal rights years ago when they were, when coal was still going to be the big thing forever and ever. And as long as the grass is green and the water's flowing and all that, now coal ain't a big deal, so it's probably safe. But of course, when they did all that up in that Cumberland area, they just, raped and pillaged and left it all for, acid runoff streams and all kinds of that.
That's what happened to, my people's country in Northeast Kentucky and West Virginia, and they in Southern Ohio, and they'll cave your house in for you.
Oh, I know. I remember your dad or somebody telling me stories about, or us stories about people falling into the streets where the underground mines would cave in, and they just all of a sudden you disappear because the streets would start caving in. She says it was a close game, but they beat Ohio State. They play the Hawkeyes today. Wolverines are hell on Hawkeyes if they can catch them.
The Wyoming law is about real wolverines, correct?
That is correct.
My wife was just mentioning that one to me last night, as a matter of fact.
Really?
In between talking about warbles and whatnot.
Like, is it popped up? Has it been? Is that new? They've changed the ruling, or is it just for some other reason pop up?
I'm
for you.
I'm not sure it's not bigger than Wyoming. I think that maybe the lower
That
48.
probably is.
I think the lower 48 population got like placed on the ESA.
Well, I'm sure it needs to be. They, well, at least in some places, I don't
Well,
know.
they're just a fringe population to begin with,
Well, true.
and always have been. But
That's true. But they are a population nonetheless.
they're
And
the south end of a much giant population.
Donner,
Giant.
I'm glad we speak the same language. In case some of you folks didn't pick up on that, that means much bigger, larger,
Yeah, much gianter.
more giant, or more bigger. Some people might say just more bigger, but more giant is even more than more bigger. We should write that down for
Kind
definition.
of like the grizzly bears that live in Washington State.
Yeah.
They're literally just there's a stringer of pretty good grizzly bear habitat up there that comes out of Canada. And those bears live there. And then they run out of habitat. And then they don't live anywhere beyond that.
So
And they're always wanting to like say they're a special, distinct population of bears.
Yeah.
And they're just like a peninsula of bears from British Columbia.
So they say A and all that.
Exactly.
That's a tough one. You know, that's kind of like some people might say. Fortunately, this is here it's protected, but that stretch of mountaintops here, it kind of culminates around Klingman's Dome and up in there. That whole area is literally left over from the last ice age thaw, and it's a northern eco zone. It's the trees and things that are
Red spruce
north.
Red spruce and everything.
Red spruce and Fraser firs and just all kinds of stuff like that don't normally grow down here. And you know, they've been trying to protect that as best they can, but as the climate warms up, it's going to disappear. It's not the altitude. I don't think it's going to save it eventually. It looked like hell a few years ago. It's gotten a little better, but when the woolly adelgid came through, the balsam woolly adelgid came through here, it just left a mountain range of just gray dead balsam fir trees everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it looked bad. Yeah, it was a rough one. Oh, not to go that direction, but I just saw something on my email this morning about Wyoming's wanting to sell off a piece of land, 640 acres, or is it bigger than that? I think it was formerly some kind of mining land, and they're trying
a section up in Teton.
Yeah, that's where it's at. Is that in the? That's not in the
park. I've been fighting about that the whole 30 years I've lived here.
Okay.
And it always goes back and forth and back and forth. And we tried to get the park to buy it at one point.
So it's not in. I mean, it's
right in the middle of the park, but it's state-owned land.
Oh, that you've told me about that.
And it's worth a gazillion dollars.
From a mineral perspective.
I guess from a development.
Yeah, development. Yeah.
Nothing to do. It's got to do with like Harrison Ford and those kind of people.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
I mean, that's the richest county in the United States of America. Do you know that?
I've read that.
There's more billionaires that live there. The millionaires are all leaving.
The billionaires are taking over.
And I'm being serious. They're having to leave because they can't afford to live in their own like county that they stole from us.
It's a good thing the park is there, because if it hadn't, they'd have all those mountains developed.
Because they're coming down. They're starting to come south down into my county.
Surely they won't come down there and stay. That country's just not.
They ain't coming. They're not coming to my part of the county, but they're coming to the mountain part of the county.
Yeah.
Hard as they can charge.
That's sad. Too
It'd be
bad.
a while. It'd be a while before they come here.
Well, they don't have. They're not. They wouldn't find the same thing they got up there. I mean, you're such a different. I mean, the whole ecosystem is
I'm
different.
such a different. That's right. I'm such a different.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean.
They're up there in
They
tall
look,
trees.
they look at our country and they're just like, well, how can we make a bunch of money off of that?
Exactly.
What can we
Well,
extract from that?
or what can we? Who can we sell that to for?
Yeah, it ain't gonna be that. It'll be like, well, how can we
Yeah,
pull something out of the ground and make $1 billion,
yeah. It's probably there too.
or put some wind up or whatever?
Yeah,
Oh, the sun shines here fairly regularly. Maybe they could build some solar farms.
yeah. I don't know what's worse, development or solar farms. Now, I'm all for trying to figure out better ways to produce electricity, but you've about turned me plumb against some of that stuff. At least,
I'm very much in favor of solar if you turn the roof of your house into a solar
yeah,
panel.
me too. And or a small generator. I don't have a problem with wind if
Or
it's
put a little wind turbine outside of your house and everybody
yeah,
have one.
yeah,
And, the battery disposal is going to be a big deal with both forms.
yeah.
But,
That's already
it's
a
an
bigger deal.
alternative. But like taking wild country that there's never been a human hardly except me, maybe. and
He's serious about
and
that.
and covering it with solar panels to where nothing else can live. That's
Yeah.
just not right. They're as bad. They're every bit as bad as oil and gas development or coal mining or.
Well, you've made it kind of made a good point to me when we were out there. It's the footprint on solar is, or hang on just a minute. I'm going to try to move my camera. Don't know if this is going to work out or not.
It is moving.
Well, I was trying to figure out a way.
You're going like this.
I was trying to figure out why in hell I'm there. Put it right there, so I'm looking at it instead of over here. I always had it in the middle, and now I've got it over here where I'm looking. Because I'm always looking at you, not the camera.
Oh,
Anyway,
I got it. So if you're,
yeah. So now I'm looking more.
I don't have a can. I just got my little circle deal on my
See, you're right in the middle, so you're good. So, but
laptop.
I was always looking off over there. So you're looking at the screen, which means you're looking at the camera, and I was looking at the screen but not looking. Anyway, where was I at on that? Oh, the footprint on, as I hate to say it, the footprint on oil stuff, except when it's a large scale. And I mean, I have seen it that way too. I don't much care for that, but the individual footprints are smaller than what you're actually seeing out there on a large wind farm or a large solar array.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
wind farms are just ginormous gas fields, basically, with bigger, badder roads, and they cover way more surface area than a oil and gas field would.
oh yeah, yeah.
The roads are they have by law they have certain requirements they have to do with roads. For a long time, they didn't want people to be able to enter that ground anymore, and it's almost all federal public ground. And but I can tell you, when they build a solar farm, they have rules that they have to fence that thing with like ginormous fencing,
Right.
and just to keep people from electrocuting themselves, I guess. And their arrays sit out there. They're about 4 or 5 feet above the ground, and they cover the surface of the earth, and nothing grows under them but weeds.
So there's no habitat there.
Halogeton is a good
Yeah.
plant that grows inside of a solar farm. And there's no way for creatures to move back and forth across that landscape because it can't get through the fence.
Right.
a lot of times birds, particularly waterfowl type birds, will land thinking that's a lake. And,
Oh,
and a lot of those type of birds, like say grebes and loons and things like that, they got to have water to take off.
right.
And so they land out there and end up on the ground underneath those solar panels
And
and die because the solar farm people won't let wildlife professionals in because you got
right.
rules that you got to keep the public and everybody separate.
Yeah.
That's
Mark has or not Mark, but Mike has he has an issue here too. He says he just Bigfoot's out there in that country, and then he says
he could build an effective shelter underneath one of
if
them.
he could get in and out through the fence, Mike, which I'm sure he could, and then if he could not get electrocuted, hanging out with the with the solar panels, then I would agree with him. I mean, he could be there. But you'd have to put a corridor through there or something so he could get in and out. And hey, John, welcome in.
What kind of meat is he packing?
Who?
John.
What did he say?
He says he's listening and he's meat packing.
What do you mean? Yeah, John, what are you meat packing? Fish? Reckon he's gone out? I bet he's got
I bet he went and killed him a deer or something.
Oh, well, that's possible too.
Or bought him a beef cow.
Or bought him a beef cattle. Or he's gone out and hit fishing big and he's brought back, cooler after cooler. Giant cod or giant bluefish, not bluefish necessarily.
Bluefin tuna.
Yeah, something like that. So tell us, John, what are you packing, buddy? Now you got to tell us. You've brought up the subject.
Yeah, there'll be no hiding of the.
What you got, Hardy steak biscuit?
Me?
Yeah. Oh.
Not hardly. I wished I did.
Yeah. Big old pouch of chaw. Are those packs still the same size as they were when we were growing up?
Exactly the same size.
I just wondered if they'd gotten smaller as the price went up. Something else did.
No, the price has gone up.
Oh, the price has gone up. I know.
They watered down the whiskey and went to trading for beaver, buddy. I'll tell you.
They jacked up the prices of everything. I bet you couldn't even afford to buy a Hudson Bay blanket from them anymore. Well, Mike or John never has said. I'm hoping he'll come back here in a minute and tell us what he's packing.
He was just going
he's just going to blow through here and drop that in there.
Drop that little deal like, hey,
keep right on going.
I'm butchering a moose, and now I'm going.
There he goes.
Friends dropped off fish for him to fillet.
They're lazy. I like the way I do it. Yeah, they like the way you do it.
I've had lots of friends like that too. Why don't you clean this for me? And I'll give you Mark. I'll give you some red cloth.
He says his freezer's full. This was an amazing week for fishing. Caught over 80 strong. Oh wow!
Holy bucket!
Any big ones?
Please tell me your shoulders and elbows hurt.
Surely they do.
80 stripers. That's a pretty good day. Pretty good.
Yeah. Week. That's. I don't know what the size.
Especially if they're big stripers.
I think they've got a slot limit out there too, and they're pretty good size. I don't think you can keep small ones. So that might be a real good week. Well, I'm going to put my slide
The ones,
presentation up.
you know it, Mark.
That's good to know, John. I'm
I
glad to hear
love
that
it.
personally.
The ones we caught in North Carolina were about that big. They weren't they and they didn't have they weren't persnickety about stripers, but we were fishing in Roanoke Sound and and Pamlico Sound, and they were about, I don't know, a foot and a half long. Perfect eating fish.
Yeah, they're between 20 and 35 inches, mostly about 25. Well, that's
Cool.
still a pretty good fish. What do they weigh, John? About 25 inches has got to be a,
3 or 4 or 5 pound fish.
yeah, at least. I was thinking maybe a little more than that. I used to catch a lot of 18-pound. When I did that for a couple of seasons with a guy I worked with in Nashville, they'd stand off these points where the river, they were running in Percy Priest, and they'd run towards up around the dam in a deep water channel there where the old river channel. And when the temperatures everything got right, they'd be out there, and fishermen would just flock to those points. And they caught a lot of 15 to 25 pounders, and every once in a while, a 42 or a
Yeah.
50 pounder. 28 to 31 is a keeper, about 8 to 10 pounds, 8 to 11 pounds. Well, you could fill a freezer that way.
Well, just like the weekend before Caitlin and I came home from mom and dad's, Brad, my cousin Brad, and his boy Drew went down on the Ohio River on the Kentucky side, and they just pounded them stripers in the river there. And I don't know if they're purebreds or if they're hybrids, but you're froze. No, you're not.
No, I'm just not moving for a minute. I was trying to do something, and I did it. Let's see how that works out for me. I'm going to present my show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of long-edged weapons, and I should have put down some of the history.
I should have learned something about it before we go to talking about it.
Well, read about it real quick, and I'll stall. I don't know enough about it. I just know some things about it, and I've got a point here this guy has made that I think I'm going to argue with, or one guy made, and I think
these boys with the Forged in Fire guys, they've taught me a lot about swords.
Why I brought my special cup today.
Oh, your Forged in Fire cup. Yeah.
My other Forged in Fire cup has a war axe on it, so I just wanted to bring a sword. I wanted to bring a sword to this knife fight.
You got cross sabers.
And it will kill, it says. Well, I pulled that logo up and stuck it on there because I found, there's a 10 pounder. You only get about 3 pounds of meat. Well, that's probably about right, but that, it is a shame you don't get any more than that. But when you cut the fillet out, and I'm guessing you're probably cutting what they call the mud vein out, or blood vein, or whatever it is.
John, do you take the cheek meat too? And I don't know how stripers, I can't remember how they're built.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like red drum, like redfish, they've got a big chunk of meat right in their throat that they call a Texas saltwater quail. And it's like the best piece of meat in the fish. And
oh, wow.
You don't let that go to waste either.
John said his wife just yelled at him to get off the computer and hurry up cleaning that fish, stinking up the house. All right, John, we didn't mean to get you in trouble, buddy. Maybe you can make it back, and if you don't, say hi to Dad when you talk to him. But be careful he don't get in trouble, because if he talks too long, you may have more stinky fish around. Anyway, glad you had a good week in the water, though.
Yeah, outstanding.
So anyway, I was going to talk a little bit about some things, mostly look at some pictures. Sure. I just thought it'd be a good the subject for today. And then I think, can you see that
Yeah.
better than just my? Wow, on this side it shows the arrow, cursor, and the dot.
Yep.
Trying something new,
It's doing that too.
but over here it just shows the dot.
But you're just a little bitty on my screen, so
Yeah, as long as you can see it where it's at. There it is on the white cup.
yeah, I see it.
So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about swords. Love the cheeks and meat on top of the head. I scrape out to make fish cakes. Oh, well, I bet that's pretty good. Make your own chicken fingers for, lunch on Friday. I don't know why. We used to have, I never understood why for a long time. I never understood why we always had fish on Friday where I went to school, and in fact, didn't never think about it. And then later on, I learned it in some places. Have to think because you don't eat red meat on Fridays.
That's a religious deal.
It's Catholic. Well, I think it's mostly a Catholic thing, and correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody?
I don't know.
But then I thought about that, and I thought, well, why did we have it? Because I don't even think we had any Catholics in that school. If we did, I don't know anything about it.
I suspect there was a Southern Baptist or two.
Oh, I suspect you're right there. Or two, maybe three. Okay, anyway, I just thought we'd go through this, and obviously it's not something I haven't read about and talked about, and so has Mark before, but not necessarily as a student of the art. And I've learned some things. A little bit.
Well, I've been a student of the art and physically. As a matter of fact, you probably have a blade that
I do, and I'll probably I meant to get that out. I'll probably get that out in a little bit and show it all.
It still ain't hafted though, is it?
No, but it still looks good. I was gonna see if this video would play. It probably won't. They never do. But let's see.
Well, we can't hear them anyway, so.
Well, I was hoping if I put it in here like this, it would, but you know what? I can't even open it. So I guess it doesn't matter.
But
you can if you want to, but it's just
that is an outstanding cross hilt on that. That looks like an old sword.
It is. This is an old iron sword that they believe to be a Viking sword, and it was decorated. The hilt was decorated with, I think they said this was a copper or bronze inlay.
That's very cool. That is very cool.
Well, if you look at it real close, Mark, I'm not so sure that it's not Damascus. Look at see this pattern in this center section, and that'll just keep that in mind when I show some more pictures in a minute.
But this was pre-Damascus.
Well, yet hang on to that. Hang on to that thought.
Well, the Vikings were doing some cool stuff with metallurgy that other people weren't doing yet.
Well, I had a piece of mine. You tell me I had a donut chunk in my beer.
I'm probably getting way ahead of you.
No, it's coming, but we our ancients had all kinds of swords and art and lithograph, or not lithograph. The Egyptians did lithographs, hieroglyphs and petroglyphs, and just all kinds of things. Had weapons or tools and a lot of swords, so that you see them in a lot of things like this here pottery. And
but that's Greek.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say. You got me. That's a Greek sword, and this is Greek pottery, but it's pretty old. This is all 3000 BC ish. Not sure about the Viking sword, but this is. And I don't think I didn't. Let me see here. I don't think I made any notes on this. No, I did not. Okay. But moving right along. Come on, go to the next slide. And we like to use them on logos for just all manners of things here. I had several here that I thought were interesting. I'm not sure what the Fellowship of the Sword is exactly. There is a ceremony of the sword I want to talk about, but I don't think that's it. I thought this might be a school or a group. And then here's Manhattan College, and they've got the old pen is mightier than the sword thing kind of going on there, which I thought was sort of, kind of neat that they've done that. And then you got, I can't remember, this is Nicholas College, I think. Again, they've got a sword piercing their end. And I've got Gerber has some interesting ones. Gerber Knife Company has got some interesting ones. And I didn't know this, but they changed over the years. I've got a blade right here. Oh, I can't see this, so hang on a minute.
I saw it.
Could you see the logo on it?
No.
I don't know if you can.
I can see there's a logo on it, but you're this big. You're this big.
Okay. Well, that logo is very similar to the one in the corner, except the one on my knife, the blade's coming straight into the stone rather than at an angle. And come to find out, this was an earlier logo, and they changed over to some more like this, and then they've also done it a couple other ways. So I just thought it was neat that they used that logo to put on there. Had changed so much, but it's always got the sword and the stone kind of thing. And of course, here's the Tennessee Vikings logo, the football team in Nashville. And this one is Virginia Cavaliers. And I guess Cavaliers use swords a lot because they've got them on here. And I didn't realize it when I used this image, but that they're showing two different swords. They changed it. I believe this one, the blue one, is the newest one. And if you look at the swords, this has a fluted hilt or grip, not hilt, but grip. And this one's just a smooth grip, probably cheaper to make, draw, whatever. Everything else looked pretty much the same except colors to me. And then I like this one best. It says, "Enjoy the journey, Barley and Sword Brewing Company." Now, those two things can go together unless you have too much of the barley, then the swords need to go behind the bar. Because you don't want too much sword play if you had too much barley. What do they call it? Barley wine, beer, ale.
Well, and I don't know if you've ever seen one of the Lonesome Dove movies called Comanche Moon.
I'm not sure if I have or not seen that one. I think I have.
Val Kilmer plays a captain of the Texas Rangers that when they're getting ready to attack somebody, he said he yells Bible and sword.
Oh boy, it sounds like John Brown. John Brown was he was most infamous. Well, he was infamous for taking over Harper's Ferry, but before that, he was known for chopping up people he didn't like with like a Roman short sword, or broadsword, I guess they called it. But him and his sons all apparently liked the sword when it came to seeking revenge on others that they didn't agree with.
They got to meet one of the earlier companies of the United States Marine Corps, and it didn't serve them well.
At Harper's Ferry?
At Harper's Ferry.
And Robert E. Lee was in on that too, which is an odd combination. But
the shock troops were
Marines.
Jarheads. Oh, look at that beautiful thing.
And they believe this might be the oldest sewn. They think this might be the oldest sword that they've ever actually found and able to date. Let me see if I can pull my notes up on that one.
That's got to be bronze.
It is bronze. It says this sword was mistakenly thought to be medieval. it is now thought to come from eastern Anatolia and to be about 5,000 years old. It is one of the oldest ever found. I think somewhere else I read they think it is maybe the oldest. It's certainly one of the better. It's certainly in better shape. The blade is a little bit rough out here, but the rest of it is in really good shape, other than age. And anyway, that's in Italia, in a university there.
So they haven't found Egyptian swords that are way older than that, or
Well, they haven't. I've got some Egyptian swords pictured, but they were dating most of those around the year 3000 BC, and this is 5000 BEC or whatever you want to call it. And we'll just say BC for short right now because that pops to mind. But so this one,
BCE, buddy.
huh?
BCE.
BCE, excuse me.
Before current era.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll call it BCE. That's right. I was saying it was the air was in the middle for some reason. But anyway, this one was discovered buried in some ruins. I have another story. Let me see if I've still got that. I tried to keep some stuff pulled up so that I could talk about it when I showed it. I got a really cool old steel iron sword, and one that's got gold on it, and that Viking sword up there, and just all kinds of coolness. Here, I had the story of this one, but I might not have it now. And of course, the Bronze Age lasted quite a while because they figured out how to work it, even though it didn't cut as well. Later, once they found the iron and steel, that was the end of bronze and brass. I mean, that kind of stuff, because brass was kind of cool, but brass did not hold up like steel when it came to battling one another and hitting one another and cutting one another up and that sort of fun thing that they did back then. And now I've got something on my screen. Okay. Yeah, there's a guy I've got a book that a lot of this information, or some of it, the pictures at least, came out of. Okay, here it is again. Here, this sword was found in a monastery in Venice, and they just found this about 3 years ago, 2020. And let me see if I can pull up the text on it, a little bit more text. The story goes on. Yet another Arslantic. I don't know how to say that. Arslantepe. Been found this time March 2020 in the showcase of an Armenian monastery in Venice, Italy. How it got there, nobody knows, but we may safely assume that it was before Marcella I can't say that right either. I say Fragipan, and that's not correct. If that's your name, you say it differently. I know. Started digging in 1966, and they found this, 40 years, 50 years later. Well, almost 60 years later. The sword was investigated and found to have the proper age and composition. It's a form of arsenic copper bronze, and that's a way they date stuff like this. It's by what it's made out of, and then nowadays they can look at what it's made out of and actually, in a lot of cases, figure out where it came from. If the copper was mined in a certain area of Europe or Africa, or where it came from. And just like here, that stuff got traded around. But there's a lot of those kind of swords out there, and I'm going to show some more of those in a minute. And I found another really cool one. I don't know why I'm not able to click and move like I want to.
She keep telling us about all these cool photos, but we're still looking at the bronze sword.
Well, I know. I'm going to get there. Well, now I can't. There it goes. And here's some more. I mean, this is a flint dagger, but this was what it was made to represent. This is a knife, which swords evolved from things like this because they needed knives for skinning and all that. And they were purely a tool for, I guess, for protection, but just to eat, to acquire game and eat. And then they turned what this would have been into something like this because
So that's a Danish dagger.
Yeah,
That thing at the top corner is a. And DC Waldorf makes those, or
really?
has made them. Yeah, they're pretty technically difficult, but
I bet with all this down here, especially to me, this would
look at the hilt on it. It's pretty difficult to do that napping.
Look at that ripple right down the middle there, way that's almost fish scaled or something.
Yeah.
Chip that off. That's pretty amazing to me. But as you figure, if you could break this off inside a mastodon, or you could drop it and break it on a rock or another, but this would last longer, even though this flint blade would have been a lot sharper than this bronze. And I thought one of the coolest swords I found was this one made out of shark's teeth. And I assume this came out of the South Pacific somewhere, but I don't remember where. I might have it in here in a minute. But okay, well,
they were big into those in Hawaii, and the Polynesian folks, made lots of shark's teeth maces or swords.
Yeah, and this group here, this is showing a little bit of the evolution of coming from something like this dagger here to longer swords. And the longest one here is this one, and it's about 60. It's only 62 centimeters, 2.5 inches per. I think a centimeter, 2.5 inches. I think it is
2.54 centimeters
per inch. Yeah. So whatever that adds up to, 30 inches. So that's a fairly decent length. And some of these have inlays in them, and that was a change as they, and these all look to me to be steel. Let me see if it says. No, they say these are also arsenic copper alloy, and they were cast. These weren't hammered out, by a blacksmith. These were cast. And some are inlaid with silver. All are rather flat, and according to this guy, remind him of a far smaller letter opener I once had in my possession. I think this guy's British. Not that matters with letter openers. My letter openers, whatever pocket knife I have handy. Next to the swords, some spearheads. Yeah, I don't really see that in this picture. One place obviously seen valuable treasure. So these are swords. I wanted to see. It said something about a tooth. No good grip, guard, awkward to hold. And that was the thing, when they first started making these longer knives and they became offensive and defensive weapons, then suddenly they had to figure out how to fight with them. They didn't even know how to attack each other, which sounds silly today, but that literally was an issue. There was nobody to train, Obi-Wan Kenobi to fight with a copper dagger, and they had to learn over time how to even use them in combat. And this is another group, and I believe I don't have any notes on that one. I want to say most of these were Scandinavian. That you can see most of them were copper, but what I thought was interesting was the evolution of the handles or the hilts, the grips, and all that. Most of them don't have a guard per se. This one right here has a little bit of a guard, but most of them are, just for holding. They're not really for. So I guess what I'm getting at is they really weren't for fighting against another sword so much as they are just slashing and stabbing at somebody, your enemy. And this one I thought was kind of cool because you got this series of holes, and then from that you would rivet on something like this, or maybe even something golden because some swords had gold on them. I think I've got a picture of one. But this look at all the different little. I don't know. I'd call this artwork, to be honest. On the hilts, they're just all of them are different. These two and this one are similar. Maybe all three of these were. And that's, to me, that grip right there doesn't look like it'd be all that comfortable. But maybe you can hang on to it better. And there's a lot of discussion amongst people that do this kind of thing about whether all these that have marks and chips and stuff out of them, whether those are from sword fights of long ago or just corrosion. But I suspect there's probably a little bit of both going on there. And same thing here, but you can see these again. I should have put this one first because you can see the handle development hasn't moved along quite so far as these are. These are much further along. This has got a nice wooden handle, and these are all scales of some sort or another, wooden handles. But again, they're still bronze. And I think I got, no, not yet. These are bronze too. These are all mostly stuff they found in the Scandinavia area. So a lot of these are indeed Viking swords. Now this lower pile of scrap down here is sort of a conglomeration of all kinds of things, spear or pike heads, and some longer swords. And again, the hilts are all gone. So that just tells me that the handles, the grips, the bolsters, whatever they put on them, were mostly natural materials, probably just mostly wood. They didn't last. The blades did, but the rest of it didn't. Which I kind of like this one too. It looks almost like a part of a horseshoe. Looks like it would rivet onto this one. Probably would, in fact. It's also got these neat little curls here. I don't know. This probably represents something, but I don't know what.
That reminds me of a sword they found in England that was a Anglo-Saxon sword. It had
could be
that kind of a shape, but the ends of that, whatever you call that,
this
guard or whatever, were horses' heads, like facing each other.
Gotcha. I see that. Well, I know they use. I mean, there's different groups.
They found that sword at Sutton Hoo.
And here's some more again. I've used that one already.
These are all like Greek and Roman and.
Yeah, there's a mix of stuff here, but believe it or not, some of these, I don't know about this group. I've got more that will have a little bit more definition, but some of these are Viking swords or were traded for and gotten up from other places. And I thought these were really interesting. All three of these, well, actually, this is three. I thought this was the other side of one. But these are actually three different ones. See, this one has one rivet out here. This one has two. These were purely ceremonial because there's no cutting edge on them. I guess you could use them for a club. But what's really cool about this upper one, and I thought I put it in here, I guess. Oh, yeah, right down here in the corner. If you look real close, here's a ship. Now, this could be a Viking ship because they think this was they found these in Scandinavia. I think all these three, or at least two of these, were found in Denmark, and the other one might be Sweden or somewhere. I'm not sure, but they were all three up in that part of the country. And this one has a boat down here. If you really look at it, that boat looks to me like something you would have seen the Romans using or the Greeks. I can't remember what they call those boats. They had, usually had slaves or prisoners did the rowing, and they, main thing they did was ram each other. It starts with a B, seems like, but I can't remember the name. Anyway, I thought that was interesting because that looks more like one of their boats, not a Viking boat. But who knows? But it was decorated, and you see some more stuff up here. So, they were into that sort of thing. Most things like this, if they were ceremonial, told a story. I thought this one was cool. Now, this is an Assyrian blade. Or, again, I don't think it's got a cutting edge. I believe it's more for show and tell. And it's what it says on it is Palace of Adad Nirari, king of the universe, son of Arik el Eli, king of Assyria, son of Enel Neari, and king of Assyria. All this is right down through here. So, he's apparently a king of good lineage. And they think it was believed to belong to the Adad and Eri, who lived in 1307 BC to about 1275 BC. So that's about, 80 years? I have to think about this for a minute. It's backwards, as we're going from big numbers to little numbers. No, he can't live. He couldn't live that long. Now I'm looking at it. That's over 100 years. I don't believe that. Maybe it belonged to that family for that long, or maybe they ruled long.
All that's just like 25. That's 32 years, dude.
Is that all that is?
No, maybe it is.
See, that's just it. Because I think it would be 93 years would be 1200. I don't know. Carol, you're the teacher. What do you think?
1275 to, you'd go backwards to 1300. That's 25 years. That's 32 years.
I've lost myself. I've lost you guys. Hang on a minute.
Well, that ain't a sword. And they didn't want the little king to cut himself because it's got working edge.
Maybe that's it, but it's it's all purely decorative. And back here you see another animal. Looks like some kind of an antelope, something they would have had, in Egypt or the part of the Middle East. Anyway, everybody found asleep yet? What is Mike saying? It's something else. Hello, puppy. I missed the puppy. Oh, did Mark have a puppy? Mark got an A+. Well, how'd he do about that? And I've got a couple different kinds here. And I've seen these made on Forest and Fire before. So this is a Kopek. These are Egyptian swords. I think I've got some information on them. Let me see. No, I don't. I'll have to find it in a little bit. Now, here's you some Egyptian swords. A couple of them, anyway. In fact, this one in the middle, I believe, is Tutankhamun. Or they found this in his tomb, anyway. Again, it doesn't look to me like it's got an edge on it, but it's also bronze, so whatever edge it would have had on it wouldn't have lasted too long anyway. This one's kind of cool. If you look at it, that's a trumpet laid over that, maybe in brass or gold.
A trumpet?
Yeah, look at that. Well, maybe.
How are you getting that?
Well, look. It's got a long piece down the middle. It curves up. It's got some filigree and all kinds of artwork on it. And then it comes up here and looks like a bell mouth, like on a horn. And then again, maybe it's just another axe, but it's what it looks like to me. I tell you
It
what, I
just
think
looks strange.
it does look strange.
All these old swords look just strange.
Yeah, they do. Now this one over here looks like a sword. I've seen them make all these on Forest and Fire before.
That one in particular.
And this is I'm pretty sure this is another Middle Eastern sword, Syrian or this looks like some Sumerian or some who are the ones that like Coeur d'Alene talks about in the horse soldiers song. Suleiman and I think those they might have carried something like this, and the Crusaders would have been trying to preserve their heads and bodies from that. But that's moving on into the Iron Age. This is an iron sword.
That's way into the Iron Age.
Yeah.
That's steel age by the time they got to that. They were
True.
making Damascus steel by then.
Come on, open up. There you go.
And that would have been those same people you were talking about, Saladin.
Yeah.
And who chased down Crusaders on their heavy drafts.
Yeah. He was
on his Swift Arabians.
Yeah, on their Swift Arabians. So then I moved into some other stuff. That swords have always been, once they started making them, because there were a lot of these same glyphs, or I guess these would be petroglyphs. I don't know. What's the difference between a petroglyph and a hieroglyph, Mark? I never have understood that. I should have looked that up years ago. But
petroglyphs versus pictographs.
Well, yeah, like the Egyptian carvings on stone versus the stuff we find over here on rocks in places. Is it because one's carved and one's just drawn on there? Is that the difference?
Maybe.
I'm not sure either. But anyway, the point is these always have some kind of knives in them. And this guy's got, and you can't see all this one, but they've both got a sword or something in their belt. And this guy over here is handling a shorter curved blade, but that's a heck of a blade with a amazing looking cutout right here. I wonder if that was sharpened. And over here we got a couple of longer swords that, two-handled things that, were used against. These were developed to kind of defend off cavalry and stuff. And you got sort of a classic picture of a knight carrying a big sword, a long sword, which are different than a claymore, or at least called different things. And then this tapestry is, of course, full of swords and long pikes and spears and such as that. And this is definitely in the steel period of time because they got mail and armor. And then I put these in here to show, a different group of different kinds of swords and shapes down here. And up here, we got some fancier stuff. This is a basic, I think this is a rapier. And it's got this brass wire or rod, twisted up and turned into something ornamental. And then the handle's wrapped. This was probably for possibly someone of rank or wealth, I would imagine.
You keep your hand from getting all chopped.
Well, yeah, this would, yeah. But I mean, the fact that it's all it is what it is. This would have been pretty flashy in its day.
Well, and rapiers were not made for military use. They were
True.
They were civilian dual swords.
Yeah.
Back when people, you slap them with the glove and
and pick your weapon.
There's Shelly.
Shelly's in the room. Hey, Shelly.
Shelly's in the room.
I can't see you, but I take Mark's word.
She's probably been out photographing some cool bird or something.
Probably. And I don't remember if they said where this blade came from, but this looks Indian to me. They had a way of decorating things like this. This just looks Indian. But that's a good looking blade if you like that sort of thing. And this, I believe, is a claymore. This blade right here, they think is one of the earliest. The one on the lower is one of the earliest known steel or iron swords that was created. And this was also found in the Middle East. And I can't remember where this upper one is, but I wanted to put it in here because it was just so unique. And this is actually another early iron or steel blade. Iron, I'm sure. And there is a difference between how steel is produced versus iron. And even once they figured out how to make it better and more like steel, then it still got improved over the years to where we are today. Steel today is not anything like these were made out of.
But still based in iron ore.
But it's still, it's all based in iron ore.
You add a lot more carbon to it.
Yeah. And the Bessemer system, I don't know if that put it under more pressure, exactly how that worked, but that was once they figured that one out in the 1800s, I believe is when Bessemer was around. That changed the whole world when it came to steel and turned America into a big steel producer. Carroll's country and Shelley's country used to have, probably still does in some places, a lot of iron ore coming out of the certain parts of Michigan and I think Wisconsin, Minnesota, maybe all three. And these are some dress swords I wanted to put in there. This is obviously not a weapon sword. It's got a ball tip, so you wouldn't be wanting to poke at anybody with that. And this is the U.S. Army and their dress sword, which I still don't understand why the Army has dress blues. I thought they were doing away with this, but reading yesterday, I guess the dress blues are here to stay, and they've changed the other uniforms back to what they call the pinks and greens. But why do they got a blue uniform? I just don't get that. That's the Marines. Marines have blue and red and all that in a amazing swords. And which sword is that, Mark? Is that non-com or officer?
That's a non-commissioned officer sword.
Well, that's a sergeant, right?
That's a corporal.
Corporal, okay.
I'll do that if you want me to.
And anyway, that's ceremonial now in this country. And this was interesting. I never heard of this, but this is the Order of the Sword.
That's
Air Force. Yeah, it's Air Force. Did you know about this?
No, I didn't know about the Order of the Sword.
But that's like carrying this great, but this is like an honorary thing. This big sword, that's what's, right here in front, down in this lower right picture. But all these swords that you see being held up are swords that they're giving high-ranking officers for years of service or different kinds of acts of chivalry, not so much in combat, but other things that they've done that they're known for, and maybe even retirement for some of them. But this is all Air Force, and I was trying to figure out if the Air Force had hey, buddy, hey there, say hi to Carol and them. I'm sure they'll be glad to see you. You still waking up? Let me see your eye. What's your eye look like today? His left eye's been watering the last couple of days. Of course, mine are too, Brenda said, so she thinks we're maybe all allergic to the same thing. But anyway, I didn't find them wearing a dress sword, but they have this sword ceremony, and they give away these, beautiful one-off handmade swords to different people. And, they are part of the Order of the Sword, which I thought was kind of cool. I guess I would think that was kind of cool. And that may be the only sword, it may be the only sword play you find in the Air Force. And of course, here we got these guys up here are Navy. And these guys are Army again. Again, like I said, again, we got dress blues. I just don't get that. But we know who the Navy guys are, and we know who the Marines are, and that's why these guys need to get out of blue and go back to green, I think, or stay with green. Because they redid the green uniforms, but I thought they were going to redo the dress too, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, nobody asked me either. And that's the end, but not really. Because what I want to do is shut this down now, and I don't have my cohort's gone. Let's see who I've missed while I've been behind the curtain. Shelly, I said hi to you, but now I see you here. Welcome in. It's been a while. And she's going to be here for a while. Maybe we can meet up. So, where are you? No, we hadn't seen a katana yet, Shelly. Probably will here in a minute, though. Yeah, military uses sabers mostly. That's true. Oh, Shelly's down in Carol's neighborhood. Well, good for you. I think you guys should get together and have lunch. Oops, I lost my chat. There it is. Or at least on that side I did. Man, guys, hang on just a minute. I got it. Oops, no water. Let go. I got this no-tip Tommy Tippy cup. Yeah, or dinner. Oh. Wish I was up there. I'd go have dinner with you too. And I don't know if you were here when I said this, but Shelly wanted to know if she missed the katana section.
We didn't have any that I saw.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, you got more?
Well, I got some other stuff I want to try to show, at least go through some of it, because some of it's quite interesting. And I'll see if this is going to work. Okay. This guy that wrote this particular book, and again, I think he's Brit. And don't ask me why I think that, other than he just seems rather pompous, but he's talking, or maybe he's German. Maybe that would make more sense, because he talks a lot about making Damascus, or as he calls it, composition or composite blades, because they're made out of multiple layers. And they often did this. They used a softer iron or a softer steel and a hard steel. And they make this out of layers. And I think I got a picture that explains that here in a minute. But I thought this was amazing because of this pattern that they put in this by knowing how to work this Damascus. And this is Damascus. It all came out of Germany, I think. And there was Celtic culture in that part of the country at one time. And but these, Mark, look at these blades. If you look at the rusty blade here, you can see the Damascus pattern in it, right down the middle. And this, somebody has copied it. They made a sword to copy this sword, and you can see the pattern just down the middle of the sword, which amazes me. Now, if you went in and etched the rest of this, the edges of this blade, you could get that same pattern, but they've ground that out and just left the middle, which I think is kind of cool. But what's really cool is this, supposedly this is the same sword flipped over, and look, the pattern on the other side is completely different. Now, how the heck did they do that? I don't know how they do that. Well, I guess they made a pattern and a pattern, and then they put those two together. I guess it's the only way I know you could do that.
I can't read any of that, but is it for real
Oh,
Damascus or something else?
well, it's what you and I would call Damascus. What this guy calls composition or composite metals, and he seems to have a thing about Damascus where he somewhere in here he says, this is from a book the guy wrote, that he wants to repeat it several times, that Damascus there is no advantage or need to make Damascus make swords out of Damascus steel. Or as he likes to call it, composite steel, because it's made out of more than one thing. And I don't agree with that, but I guess I wouldn't agree. Maybe I'm not as educated. But I've always heard just the opposite of that, the real treat about Damascus is the hard part makes it really sharp and the softer part makes it tough. And that's what I've always been told and why it was used. I mean, why else would you go through all this effort? There's easier ways to make patterns on steel than making Damascus, especially back then. I mean, you could have etched something on there much easier than you can make a Damascus blade. So I'd have to believe they felt like it was useful. And here's another pattern I think is just beautiful. And they've got names for these different patterns, but this is and this is Mercury flipping off somebody because he doesn't like that Hermes, excuse me, on top of a tall column at Schillerplatz, Stuttgart, directly next to the museum, comments the special exhibition dedicated to the Celts. And so he's whoever did this with Photoshop says he's flipping off the Celts. So I think the Celts ought to come out here and cut him and let him bleed a little bit. Just my opinion. And these are just different swords and how they decorated things. And, this one looks brass.
They call that an anthropomorphic sword.
Because it's got a person on it. Or
it's got a human on it.
Yeah. And this is kind of an interesting sword and blade. I'm not sure if that's been on purpose like that or not. Oh, it's an intentionally destroyed Celtic sword in perfect condition. So this sword has been captured or surrendered by the Celts and the Germanic peoples or Teutonic peoples, whoever they were called back then, destroyed it so they couldn't be used against them again, no doubt. Because the Celts were known to do that from time to time. This looks like an animal footprint. It may say, let me see what it says. No, it doesn't really, well, maybe it does up here. Hang on a minute. Positive point, there's a book. Oh, we talking about books. Anyway, let me see what's next. We're going back to bronze daggers here. That looks like a lion's head inlay. Yeah, it is. Oh, it says that's ivory. Well, that ivory is really aged. I don't think I've ever seen it that color. 35 to 40,000 BC. One of the oldest, if not the oldest, sculpture known to humankind. Wow. Now that's pretty neat.
Why is that associated with a sword?
I'm not sure, but it's still cool.
It's very cool.
I think somebody must have had it inlaid. I don't know. And these are just some different sorts of things like that. The ones I've got to show after this are, I think, a little bit more interesting and to the point. But I think they're looking at decorations and the way people did swords, that part. Oh, somebody's being knighted or beheaded.
See, that's what I would call Damascus.
Yes, I would too. But look at there's 3 patterns in there. Oh, that's a neat pattern right there. That's like it says quince juice etching. Well, that looks like flames running up the blade to me. Look at that. Can you see that
Mm-hmm.
well enough? I don't know if I can make it any bigger for you or not. Let's see what else is down through. You definitely should see this exhibition, he says. And this is a good website if you want to look at it. And these links do work, I think. Yeah. Let me see if this will show. Because I've got this picture here in just a second anyway. Yeah. I think this one's got some good. Oh, look at that. Look at how that pottery's stored. Teddy, please let go of my arm. Thank you. Iron use in bulk started around 800 BC, so they made bronze blades for a long, long time before we got to the using iron. I didn't realize it was that big a spread. And he's talking about early iron swords, and you can see these are iron. Look how they've rusted away. I mean, that's a dead ringer there.
Those are Viking swords.
Yeah. You know what I don't see on this? And these are all from a museum. These are from museums in Europe, Central and Northern Europe. What I don't see a lot of are sacks. I thought that was a common Viking sword, but I don't think I've seen one yet.
I think they were pretty late, though, comparatively.
Maybe they were. These swords were forged by using faggoting or piling, or I don't know what that is. Those are ceremonial, though. One of those is from Israel, that center one. So these aren't all Celtic and above. This may not be the slide I wanted, after all. Some interesting blades, though. I wondered there's that Celt sword again. Look at that thing, man. They did a number on that. No, that's not the one I wanted. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can pull it up. Cut sword. All of these things are pretty well. If you like blades, they're interesting anyway. Carol, what time's your ball game today? Shelly says she has a Damascus katana with a dragon head. Oh, cool. I'm going to have to get some katanas pulled up. And here's some early iron. And they just mentioned meteors. They think some of the early iron came out of meteor deposits people found back then to make them out of, and which I think is a cool thing.
I think they found a blade in Tut's tomb that was made from
They have. Hi, what you doing? You want to say something?
Which is added to the pyramid people were alien people. BS.
Mike, what do you think about that? Are the Egyptians alien? Richard Bach said someday the Egyptians are going to fly. Just wait and see. Okay, where'd they go? I know I got katana pictures here. Let me pull my other slides up instead of this slide. Hang on a minute. Okay, I've cut you off there. I may have shown this one. Yeah, that one's Place. Yeah, I don't need that one. Don't need that. Probably don't need that. Anybody in here ever been to Birmingham, Alabama? I know that probably doesn't sound all that interesting or exciting, but actually it is kind of cool. Because, okay, what am I going to have to do here? I've got some more pictures. Some we've seen and some we haven't. What was I saying? Oh, and when I get this up, you'll be able to see it. In Birmingham, Alabama, there's a ridge there. I guess it's the highest point in Birmingham, which is right at the tail end of it's kind of at the bottom of the Appalachians. They actually run all the way down through there. By the time you get to Birmingham, they about petered out. And but they've got some ridges that run kind of in a diagonal northeast to southwest. But on top of one of them, they've got a monument that was put up there in the 1800s, and it's called the Vulcan, and it looks kind of like this logo these guys have got right here. It's a big iron statue because Birmingham was the iron place of the South, or what did they call it? Pittsburgh of the South kind of thing, because they produced a lot of iron ore down there, and used coke to turn it into Bessemer steel. In fact, that may be where Bessemer came from. Now that I think about it, because there is a Bessemer, Alabama. But anyway, they've got this big giant statue up on top of this mountain of a Vulcan god or Vulcan guy that's got hammers in each hand and a pair of tongs, and he's working steel. That was their big deal. There's a very ornamental ceremonial sword. And there's that sword, which is a Chinese Dao. I forgot to say that. With a curved blade. Single edge. And I believe this was Celt. And it was interesting because it's got this gold inlay. I mean, the sword is rusted away, but this gold inlay remains. Of course, I can't read that gold inlay. They think this is from around 600 AD. So, relatively speaking, that's pretty modern compared to the other stuff. And there's that earlier one we showed with the inlay. This is a Viking decorated sword. They use precious metals, stones, bones, other things. So but copper back then was a precious metal to these guys. It wasn't just something we strung out in wires. Anyway, I know I've got some pictures I wanted to see again, artwork and swords, and as this, the claymore was very similar to the long sword that I guess the Brits and other Europeans used, but it was a little different. Okay, Shelley, here's some. Shelley has been through Birmingham, Alabama multiple times. Go up on the mountain next time you're down there, Shelley, and go see the Vulcan on top of the mountain. People can tell you where it's at down there. I've got a map. You can look it up too. It's in all the maps. Wielded by the samurai class of warriors during the Japanese Middle Ages, the katana featured a long, slightly curved blade and was used in battles between samurai clans during the medieval part of Japan's history. But interesting enough, these blades and swords were still carried by officers and non-commissioned officers in World War II. Every officer had a katana and maybe what's the short one called?
Wakasaji.
They used them to commit hara-kiri or suicide, rather than Vulcan Mountain. Maybe, but I don't know if that's what it's called, Shay, but maybe. Oh, are you saying that is it? I can't read that from here. Oh, I got you. That kind of Vulcan Mountain. But anyway, katana. These are really neat swords. I'd always wanted an original katana because some of their swords were many hundreds, if not thousands, of layers of Damascus, and they're just really cool swords. I have a blade that I carry all the time that's got this kind of a handle work on it. Oh, I don't have it on today. What have I done with my knife? Uh-oh. I know where it's at when I change shirts. They took it when they gave me my prison overalls. They took my knife. So I'm allowed to have the shiv and I got to make another one. What?
They took your shiv away from you.
Well, I thought maybe I'd just bring one in with me instead of grinding down my toothbrush. And there's obviously a ceremonial or decorated sword. This is a scimitar. Central Asia, possibly, could be Thailand, could be India, for that matter. And there that one is. I had showed the hilt of that one earlier. It is an Indian talwar. That's not just ceremonial there. That one is usable. It's got a sharp edge. And that is indeed a rapier. I had said that I thought it was, and it was. I need one of these buildings. I'm going to move into one. I'm going to get me a building like that and move into it, I think. And that thing is I don't know how you say that. Ikul, Ikul. It was more of a symbol that they would carry than being useful in Africa. And here's a European sword. Americans, Europeans, pretty much all of us had some kind of sword, particularly the cavalry. They still used them and depended on them. But officers carried them. The common soldier didn't have them so much by then. They might have had a short sword strung to their belt, but they didn't have, they weren't issued blades like that. Well, a lot of officers weren't either. A lot of officers had to buy their own stuff usually. Let's see what else I've got here. Nope, that's Chloe the servant. Oh, this is the wrong page. No wonder. How did I do that? That's not even the right place. Oops. Okay, let me find another one. And you guys are probably bored. Well, I can't say that online. How bored I think you are, but yeah, I'm going to show this one. Yeah, this one's got some good stuff in it. At least some Damascus or pattern welding, as this guy calls it. We'll hold this for a minute. He'll be back, I'm guessing. So what brings you all the way down into the not Kalamazoo, but the Michigan University of territory there, Shelley? Just traveling? So anyway, the other thing he called Damascus mark is pattern welding. And I'm not going to read all this because, as Ian would say, you guys would all be asleep. But they've got some really cool Damascus blades here. And again, they're rusty, but if you look, a lot of these blades have Damascus steel in them. And you can see the pattern where it's rusted out. and the soft metal will rust before the hard stuff does. So that's what you kind of, that's the slow process. And we use acid etch and vinegar and things like that to bring the etch out earlier now and quicker, so we can look at it and see it. But here are some really pretty patterns that these guys have come up with. And there's a guy that's famous. Well, he may be dead now, but he created a school down in Texarkana, Texas, and he is given credit for basically giving Damascus new life here in this country. And I can't think of his name, but they've got a school down there, and I think it's named after him now, or part of it is anyway. And they teach blacksmiths how to do this, and for knife making, sword making, or just making tools in general. I mean, there's people out there that still make handmade hammers and that kind of stuff. But they'd make a lot of things with these kind of patterns in them. Of course, if I can't make this, I can't afford to buy it. So this is a cool pattern. I think I really like this. I call this bottom one sort of a raindrop pattern. The end is near. And here's what it looks like if you stacked it all up. You got two kinds of steel. They're saying bright and dark, but what you really got is hard and soft kind of thing. And then you do all this twisting. Once you forge it together, and you do all this twisting to get all these different looks. Like this one example, they've really twisted that. Look how tight they've twisted that. And it looks like they twisted it down here, turned it around in the vise, and chucked it up right here. And look, they've twisted that the other way. And then they've turned it into something like this down here in the middle. Oops. I don't know if you can see that or not, but this has got it. You can see where they brought it together here, or are trying to. And hopefully they got it. And here they're showing you if you grind down through the blade, this is the patterns you'll expose. I like this zebra stripe down here too. I know this is boring, guys, but this kind of stuff on a blade just fascinates me. Well, look, they've shown you the cross section of that. Look how the patterns are laying in here. That's angled and it's vertical and angled the other way. I mean, this takes some thought to get this steel to lay out and come out the way you want it. And I'm sure it took several times of effort and trial and error. Here we got some people slashing about. Looks like this guy snuck up on this guy, and when he turned around, he was too close, so he drew his sword. And I think he's going to swing and cut off whatever he hits first. Maybe. Okay, let's see here. I've got one more. That's the earliest known sword. We've already seen that. Okay, hang on. One vignette. I don't know if I showed this or not. Oh, yeah, this is pictures I didn't show. But we have seen most of them, although this one's kind of neat. Let's see if I can pull this over and put it upon the screen. This one's showing just a lot of different kinds of steel work and hilts. I've seen these made, Mark, on Forest and Fire, ring pommel. Somebody just made one of those the other day. Here's some saxes up here, the Viking sword I was talking about. Excuse me, guys. I'm putting myself to sleep. I know it's boring now. And here's a bunch of Damascus blades they found. I was hoping I'd find that place where he said Damascus isn't important, but I don't think I'm going to find it. I didn't know he had that picture in there. And this is basically how we developed into the age we are today for steel swords, I believe. Oops, a bowstring. That's not what I was supposed to show. Flemish bowstring. How do I get that off there? Stop screen. Okay, let's get. I don't want that. Where am I going? Go back to here. Get that. All right, that's enough. Yeah, they are, Shelley. They're beautiful. I'd like to work with a guy to do that. There's a guy here in town that actually has. He won an episode of Forest and Fire, and he's got a shop not too far from where we used to live. Not that far from here, really. Man, he's got some nice equipment in there. He's doing some neat stuff, but he does cutlery for big high dollar chefs and that sort of thing. Famous modern day Japanese swordsmith Yashindo Ashibara forged a katana, the sword of heaven, from a chunk of the 450 million euro Gibeon, which is on display. And oh, that's cool, Shelley. I think I've heard of that actually. I could probably pull that up. Let me see if I can cut and paste that out because I'll never. Well, come on. Well, I can't. Maybe I can pull it up here. Yes, here it is. Splitting the heavens, 4 real swords made of meteors. Here it is right here. I don't know if it's the best picture of it, but at least it is a picture of it. There it is, Shelley. Shelley, I can't make it. It won't let me make it any bigger. Or I would stretch it out there, but that's the sword of heaven from the Gibeon meteorite. I wonder how much of that they had to use. It's a pretty long blade. That probably took a little bit of steel. Neat. That's an interesting handle. That looks like ivory. Do you know if it is, Shelley? Oh, has he, Shelley? I did not know that. Yeah, it is. I wish I could make it bigger. I could probably have found a larger study of it, but oops. Because here's some other ones made from meteors. But that's the only picture of that one they show. Surely there is another one. My eyes are going blurry. Hang on. Let's see if I can pull this up here. The sword of heaven. book I probably ought to have. Let's see. Here's I'm not sure why CNET has this, but that's okay if they show a good picture. So far, they do not. No, that's just other weapons made for meteorites. Well, I was trying to get a better picture, Shelley, and I'm not finding one. I'm sure it's out there. Here we go. There you are back. I found the sword of heaven mark, but I couldn't find a good picture of it. That's it, but I can't zoom in on it. But anyway, that's a cool sword. And I'm going to shut things down and just talk. Hey, Dave Mountain. Hey, Space Mountain Dave. Good to see you. Snow has melted down here in Arizona, or in A2. Dave's seen them blizzard. Hey, Tina, there you are. But we're having a bad week health-wise. And today we back from chasing Danny. He got loose and was running the woods. Did he tree raccoons, possums, or squirrels? Oh, I see what Dave's doing. He's threatening to send Karki a blizzard. Are you getting snow, Tina? Or expecting snow? I think she's in either middle or eastern New York, upper New York. Maybe he was sure chasing something. I bet he was. Yeah, I'm sorry you're having a bad week too. Hate you had to go chase the dog feeling bad. I'll tell you that right now, that always sucks. I was riding my motorcycle one time and I saw this guy wandering the road and he kind of waved me down and he said, have you seen a dog running loose? And he had one of his, he had schnauzers, the middle-sized schnauzer, and one of them had gotten out. What did he call that dog? It had a name. It was kind of funny, like Rhett Butler or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I rode around a couple of blocks and I found the dog up in some weeds. He was too big for me to put on my motorcycle, plus he'd never ridden one before, so he wasn't that interested. But the guy caught him and took him home, and all was well. Mid New York, and we're getting rain. Gloomy day, perfect for chasing hounds. Not. Oh my goodness, Mark, I don't care heard all that, but she had to go chase the dog, and they're not feeling well on top of that, so it didn't help, I'm sure. Anyway, okay. Anybody want any comments or questions? Did I show everybody my new watch? I'm showing it off, so if I haven't, I'm going to show it again. If I have, you're seeing again, but it won't focus. Come on, watch, focus. There it is. Or partly, anyway. I like that. Well, I like my new watch. And it goes tick, 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 tick. And I have to wind it. I do have to remember to wind it, though. It's not battery operated or self-winding. I have to do that every morning. Sure looks good hanging there, though. Are you there? I don't hear any sound from your end. There you are.
I'm here.
So what you got on your agenda?
There's been like stuff happening, so I've been turned off.
Okay. Well,
Dogs are wrestling and fighting and carrying on. And
You got anything you want to add? He says he doesn't know why everybody doesn't carry swords on their fingers like he does, and then you don't need all that other stuff.
yeah,
But his not Damascus, he said. But they kind of are. They're layered. They have pieces. What? No. You want to say anything? I'm a little bit worried about his. I don't know if you can see this arm or not.
exactly, Tina. Exactly.
What'd she say?
What's with the dogs today?
Yeah. I can't show this, I'm sure, but my arm is tore all pieces from cat fighting. He just reaches up and grabs me. We're sitting here. I'm sitting here, and he's in his chair, and he'll just reach up there once in a while and grab hold of my arm, and he's turned it into a pin cushion. And it's not looking all that good. Look at that. And he's done something to his eye. I'm worried about his eye now. He's just kind of squinting at me.
Probably been fighting with his sister.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Because she had a couple of little bloody marks on her too last night, didn't she? You guys got to quit that. Yeah, she gets his face pretty regular, doesn't she?
I've been seeing way too many surgeries on Dr. Pole.
Yeah,
Cats
taking too many eyes out.
Yeah, and he's removed a dozen eyes over the last few shows.
You hear that? You'd be a one-eyed cat, which probably wouldn't bother you once you got used to it, but you're too big for that. Because you get up on stuff and you're going to fall off. You wouldn't have your balance.
But yeah,
anyway,
the dogs, Tina, have been out of sorts.
It's not full moon, is it?
It was. It just got over with.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I went through about 3 days of that living hell.
You lunatic.
If you're a lunatic, you get to live with that. But yeah.
Which part, Tina? Tina said something about you. You want to say anything back? Why don't you say something? You don't talk when there's anybody around. You only talk when I'm here.
And we were snowing all morning, and now it's like bright sunshine with a big old black sky coming up over the horizon. So it's fixing to hit us again.
Okay.
Tina said that Teddy'd be cool being a pirate cat.
Yeah, he would. He might. Right now, he kind of looks like one. He had a little bit of it was like water draining out of his tear duct yesterday, or like tears, but because they were clear. But I don't see that right now. But he still got it about half closed. I'm sure that's what happened. I'm sure she smacked him. She cuts his nose pretty regular. She likes to smack your nose, doesn't she? You shouldn't be. You shouldn't present your face when you're doing that. You should.
Doc Poe would say put a little cortisol in there.
Yeah.
Unless his cornea is cut, and then you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell. I need to put a light on him. I guess what? What? Stop talking about you. Because you don't want to be on the camera, do you? No. Okay.
Maybe he's got an LDA. Oh, they don't get them.
Gonna roll him over and stitch him up.
Roll him over and stitch that stomach claw up.
That's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. I never heard of that before.
You gotta listen for the panging.
Yeah.
He's got to be Carol and Shelley's neighbor. I mean, he lives in that, at least Carol's neighbor probably. He lives in that same part of Michigan, Lower Peninsula, East Side.
I don't know how many. I don't know what they're going to do up there when he's gone. Well,
They got a whole lot of Amish farmers up there that are going to regret it when he's gone.
Yeah, they rely on him a lot for their horses
and cattle.
and cattle. Yeah,
Yeah, and all those dairy farmers up there rely on him because I mean, veterinarians don't want to work like that anymore. You know,
no, I know.
my veterinarian's the same kind of a guy. He comes out here to the place and does house visits, and if I got a horse issue or whatever, he's like, I'm like, you want me to load him up and bring him in? No, I'll just stop out. And as a rural guy, I appreciate that immensely.
Makes like a regular run up your way or something, doesn't he? Out.
He kind of have, he's only in our community one day a week, but he goes home a special week if I need him.
Yeah,
and kind of out of his way. And
that's
jams and jellies and canned vegetables and things go a long way for that. Eggs and whatnot.
Barter system.
Well, I mean, it just I just appreciate him.
Yeah, I know
what he does.
Yeah, you don't have to, and you're right. There's not many that like to get out and do that anymore.
And they're not very many large animal vets anywhere. They're disappearing.
That's probably been happening for quite some time. I knew some vets years ago, and they didn't do anything but large animals. They didn't want to do pets and small stuff. They were all into the large animal stuff, and they had trucks and they operated kind of like he does. And they traveled around. They come into the office about once a week or something. I can't remember why we were working with them. Teddy, what are you doing back there in my map? We were doing something. We were working on a cooler or something, and it had to do with them. I can't remember why though. But anyway, that's kind of what they did. They were, I mean, at that time they were some of the few up there even that were doing it. That's been 50 years ago.
Right.
But it's a lot cleaner and a lot warmer and a lot drier. If you're a small animal vet, you're always in the garage, you're always in a nice, warm, air conditioned office for the most part.
Yeah. They're not getting called out in the middle of the night to
not usually. Yeah.
Go take care of a farrowing hog or something.
True. Yeah, the last local large animal vet retired recently up Tina's way. Now they have to get the animals to Cornell. Oh, wow. Carol said, hi, Super Teddy. Actually, she said hello.
Wow.
Well, a lot of people do. They take their animals to UT for probably that same reason. Because they can get stuff done there they're not getting, not able to get done out. But again, that means they've got to trailer animals into town. I don't know if they go out to the farms or not.
Probably not.
That is a shame that they're coming down to that. I don't know how many people Dr. Pole's got on staff now, but he's usually training people to do that kind of stuff. Whether they'll keep doing it, I guess, I don't know. Depends on if they stay when he leaves, I guess. That one vet he had for years that can't think of her name. Was it Emily?
Yeah, she went to Virginia or something.
She finally went. Yeah, they moved back down to Virginia. I think that's where her husband was from. And maybe she went down to escape the weather. I'm not sure.
Sound like it was kind of one of them deals where like I get to spend time with my children.
Yeah, it probably was.
She went to a small animal practice somewhere down there in Virginia,
And she has three yonkers, or did then.
And then he's got that Doc Brenda that works for him that has been with him since the get go. I mean, ever since she came out of school, and she's the farmers that you can tell those dairy farmers and hog farmers, they love her.
Yeah,
because she's always there. Horse farmers.
Those reindeer people up there won't know what to do if she's not around.
Yeah, exactly.
She does a lot of that. And
they're the ones that give me I get the most worked up about those. They've always got some kind of episode going on in that bunch because they don't belong to be there.
True, very true. They're a little far south. Anyway,
that's the whole up with meningeal worm, and whitetails handle it fine, but caribou and moose don't so much. So
Carol says there must be someone near here that takes care of bison, longhorns, etc. at Domino's Farms. I don't know about Domino's Farms, but I'm sure you're right, Carol. If there's animals there, they need somebody. They either have somebody on staff or they, hire it done like Dr. Pohl.
Yeah, he has all those people come in with their goats and things. And it's like, it's polio. This is polio. It's always polio.
Always polio.
Or it's worms.
Or it's what?
Worms.
Yeah.
I love listening to that guy.
I don't know if he still has. I hadn't watched him lately. He still got the two, what are they? Not Percherons.
Friesians.
What?
Friesians.
Yeah.
He's got 4 of them now. So
does he? I know at one time his mare was gravid, but I think she lost it.
Yeah, Mama Pohl bought a new mare that was in foal, and I think they threw a stud foal. I think, but yeah, they're still in that business.
And no, I'm not sure how we got to that subject, but it's a good subject.
It's a great subject.
I mean, especially with you.
We went from sword fighting to Dr. Pohl.
Dr. Pohl, yeah. Speaking out in the field, I was looking up this Domino's Farms thing here a little bit. I was going to see what this was about.
Well, that's where they make pizza. That's their pizza.
They throw them out there.
That's where their hatchery, their pizza hatchery.
That's it. I wondered where they came from. No, that's it. The part of there they are. There's some bison. They have a famous bison herd, it says. And it's off their office park is a tribute to Michigan's historical landscape of the 1790s when bison roamed there. Bison roamed down here too at one time. And they've got a petting zoo. And they've got a chapel. That's interesting. And they lease something, I guess, office space.
They have what?
I don't know what I said now. They lease office space, but they have bisons. Oh shoot! I closed that page. I don't remember now what I was saying about it.
They had cattle.
Well, she said they had longhorns, but I didn't see them in the picture. They didn't mention them, but they did talk about the bison.
Just like 4 miles from Mom and Dad's house, there's a bunch of Amishmen that are raising longhorns right now.
Oh, really?
Oh, they got like 100 head of the darn things. and they've got some, steers that have like horns that are like 8 feet tip to tip. And why would you do that? I have no idea.
Yeah, well, that was my next question. I mean, what's the benefit of raising
Like,
longhorns?
I don't know if they're trying to promote them as a healthier source of beef or what, but a leaner source of beef, because there certainly are that.
They're leaner. Yeah, they're certainly leaner than Herefords or
But I'd
Angus.
rather have a Hereford ribeye or a Angus ribeye as
Yeah,
a dang piece. If I want to eat longhorn, I'll go kill an elk.
So that's a good point. Yeah, me too. I was
Because I love me a ribeye.
yeah. And what did Carol say? All right, I need to get a few things done. Thank you. Oh, she's leaving. Oh, right. Yeah, I know. What time does the ball game start, Carol? I was going to watch it. Probably. It'd be all its own day's championship game.
She's probably gone.
She might already be gone. And I think Shelley's leaving too. I'm going to shut down here. It's about that time. It's probably past time. Mark,
Who's playing?
Well, Michigan's playing Iowa.
Michigan's playing the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, and then there's
I watched Nebraska just like steamroller them last weekend. I think maybe it's a weekend.
Hawkeyes.
Huh?
Hawkeyes.
Yeah, but Nebraska, and I mean they like it was like one of those like 60 to whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
I had it running in the background, and it was
Michigan may do that to them too. I don't know.
It was not a positive game.
I think Michigan's probably in another class from them.
8:15 p.m.
Oh, it's a night game. Okay.
I assume that's Eastern.
Probably. Although they're in Central Time, so it might be Central. 9:15 sounds late here, though. I could pull it up. But anyway, and then I think Alabama plays
Eastern.
Eastern. Okay, Alabama should be playing today. They're playing who won the West? I don't know if it's one of the Mississippis. It might be. Oh no, it might be A&M. Texas A&M now. Anyway, they've got a championship game, and then
I was hoping it was going to be against Ole Miss. My son-in-law is like psychotic about Ole Miss.
It may be Ole Miss actually. Let me look at that.
And I love rooting for Alabama.
When they're playing Ole Miss,
just to give him a hard time. He says bad things about Nick Saban and all of his children.
I bet he does.
All of his ancestors and.
Well, let's see here. I don't want to see who won that game. Oklahoma State. Looks like Oklahoma State's playing Texas. They may already be on. Yeah, I think it started. Why can't I not just see a schedule? That's what maybe that game's over.
Why can't I just say, hey, when's PBR on next? Maybe it's today. Maybe it's tomorrow.
Maybe it is. Their season has already started, hasn't it?
Maybe I need to get Ride Pass so I can see it when I want to.
Oh, I can watch it on Ride Pass through a free channel on my internet.
Well, I watch it on
Pluto
Sports.
Yeah, but Pluto, if it's on your apps on your TV, you can get it there. I don't know if you can see everything or not. Oh, no, they're playing Alabama. That's right. Georgia and Alabama are playing today.
Oh, Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah.
That'd be an even better game.
Man. Yeah, it should be, unless Georgia just beats the crap. But Georgia's good.
Georgia's great. Georgia's great.
Yeah.
But Alabama has been in the past too.
They might, yeah, they came up, they started slow, but they've only lost one game. In fact, that might have been to Georgia. Louisville's playing Florida State, Michigan, and Iowa. New Mexico State, buddy. New Mexico State. Oh, they've already played their game, and they lost. I'm sorry. And then there was a good game on last night. I wanted to finish today, and I just saw the score. So now I'm
You didn't even have to tell me that, and I knew it already.
You already knew it. They actually had a pretty good year. They won some games. I watched a couple of their games on something I get's got their games on it. Got some of their games anyway. Whatever that conference is, they've got it.
Is Petey home yet?
Nope, he'll be home tomorrow night. I got a note from him a while ago on through my phone that said that he was going to drive from. He's near Waco right now, and he's going to drive somewhere up into Mississippi, and then from there in Mississippi, he's going to come home tomorrow night. I don't know what time. Far west side of Michigan, Upper Peninsula.
Well, he'll have to find some cool place to stop in Mississippi.
Yeah, I don't know where he's stopping. He had a plan. He was staying at a state park last night, and he sent me something about. Let me see what he said. He's getting ready to pull out of Waco. He's going to Jackson tonight, but I don't know where he's staying. Where he's staying will be the thing. And he's been on the highway from Benson, Arizona, which is kind of where he started, to Bisbee. And the mountains in Fort in Texas, where I camped, are all named after Jefferson Davis. We were surprised by that fact, and it says they were named for him after he turned traitor for the Confederacy. But anyway, I'm not sure that still matters. He still turned traitor, but that's what they're called. And it turns out it was all named while he was U.S. Secretary of War before he bailed out.
So they named the Davis Mountains prior to him leaving.
Well, at least that's what they said. They said it's named for him while he was still, he was working. He was in the federal government with, I guess, the guy who was there before Lincoln, because when Lincoln came in, they all walked away. But
right,
he went down and became president of the Confederacy. And I think Stewart or somebody, no, maybe it's not Stewart, who took his place. I can see his face because they assassinated him or tried to assassinate him the same night they did Lincoln. Can't think of his name. But anyway, they've got a couple places down there named after him. I guess they'll leave those. I don't know. And then last night, wherever he was at in Waco, he found a taco truck that had gorditas, which did you see those on Facebook?
No.
He said they had gorditas, but they weren't really gorditas. He said they were 2 corn tortillas put together. And
they're like a Taco Bell gordita, not like a real.
Yeah. So he says Cruces still has them beat on price and authenticity, but it tastes good, he said. So that is important.
Well, I mean, that's a regional dish just from that little part of southern New Mexico and extreme west Trans-Pecos, Texas. That's it. They're not from anywhere else in the world.
I have talked to people, and
you can't even get them in Mexico.
I know. I've talked about everybody I know that works that is Mexican, that works in a Mexican restaurant and or owns one around here, and none of them knew what a gordita was when I've asked.
Yeah.
And the thing they sell at Taco Bell is really not a gordita.
It's not a gordita.
But, I mean, they're not bad either to eat, but they're not a gordita.
Yeah.
Not an authentic one anyway.
It's an interesting deal, but we've had them when they were fine.
West side of Michigan.
I've seen you aspirate a gordita.
Yes, you did, with hot sauce on it. Boy, did that burn.
I've seen you eat a gordita so hard that you sucked it down into your lungs.
I did. That's what you get for talking and eating too fast.
And they're good.
And they're good. Yeah. Yeah, they're good. Oh my God, they're good. At least they sure do. In my mind, they sure were good. And I know that. Well, they must still be good because Phil has
They
gone.
were wonderful, dude. We're not just remembering the olden days.
I think you're right. Let me see if I've got.
They're like a hearty steak biscuit. I know I'm not just imagining how good those are or were. Mike's been supervising Diana making bacon and pancakes.
Oh, yeah? Well, we've not seen any of that coming down our way. This is where he's getting them right here. This is the place, or at least one of the places. Let me see if I can show this. I don't know if it's going to let me. Oh, it won't let me move it. Oh, I know. Okay, now let me put this over here and do this little trick again one last time. And here and here. So Phil says that he's found this little place right here. And he says this place has got, that's where he's been getting them lately.
And it's hilarious because it says authentic Mexican food.
Well, it is for that
and
strip.
it should be authentic New Mexican food.
Yeah, that's probably true. There's a pretty good picture of one.
Oh man, look at that. There's another one right there.
Yeah, I know he's always talking about having chili, green chili sauce and red chili sauce. And this is what I got in my
God,
throat.
look at that.
That's what I got down my throat and like to kill me. I thought I was gonna die. That burned so bad. Oh my God, that burned. Anyway, this is if you're ever in Las Cruces, New Mexico, go here and
that is in Cruces.
Yeah, it is in Cruces. I don't know where. That looks like an old.
I know exactly where that is. That used to be a A&W or something.
Yeah, it looks like a drive-in of some sort, but it doesn't look like a.
I think that's on the west side of town.
Out by the river. It is too.
The best gorditas in town. That's saying something.
That's saying something, but they sure look good.
Mm.
Yeah, Phil sent me some pictures the other day.
Oh, look at
that. That looks good too. Oh, damn, I'm flinging a craving on myself and I can't fix.
Well, close it out.
I got to.
Close it before you kill us all.
I can't show that anymore. It's killing me. That's man, that's some good eating stuff right there. If you ain't never had it, I suggest you try it someday.
In the real place, if you never had it. If you ever find your way down to Las Cruces, New Mexico,
find you a gordita place and sit down and have some.
Or Hatch. You could go to Hatch and get one there, probably. You can go to Van Horn, Texas. But you can't go very far beyond those places.
Nope. Nobody knows what you're talking about. I don't know this.
You could go to Deming, west of Las Cruces.
Well, if you cross down below,
and then you run them out. And then you run out of them. Do
they have them at all in Mexico, northern?
Not that I ever could find. Not a single place.
Man, that's a shame. I'm telling you, if I could make them right, I could open up a place around here and make some money. That's what I can do for a living. I could just start making because they are. I think you'd sell them like crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, we've been trying to rebuild them, and I've got recipes. I got recipes for them, but I can't. I'm missing something.
Yeah, there's some essence of Las Cruces or something that we.
There's some MSG or something that there's something.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're just gonna cut you loose. You got any plans for the rest of the day?
Me?
Yeah. Keep your
I
leg
don't know
out.
what I'm going to be doing. Feeding
Yeah,
horses here in a
same.
minute. Got to go throw some hay here in a minute,
Oh boy. That'll make your foot feel good.
which means I got to put my boots on, and that makes my foot feel good.
Oh, I bet you'll just love all
I
that.
got an appointment on Monday to go see the ortho folk.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Let me, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
And what you hadn't been doing or have been doing that was good or bad.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask you something silly like, "You ain't been on this, have you, since we saw you last?" No, sir.
No, hell no.
No, sir. Not me. Uh-oh. It sounds like company.
It's my wife just coming back.
Okay.
She's been on a whirlwind adventure to the recyclers.
Oh boy.
Because we got a recycling center right here in Opal.
Yeah. And not every place the size of Opal's got one.
Which is amazing because the big towns don't.
Exactly. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Mike, save some bacon and pancakes. I'm on my way, buddy. See you later. Say hi to Sean and Caitlin. And everybody have a great week.
Bark, 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 bark.
Bark, 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 bark. All right, see you guys.